Good evening and welcome to another episode of Sugar and Silk, brought to you exclusively by Ace Podcast Nation. My name is Ben Doughty.
And my name is Michael Silk Olajide.
And we are delighted collectively to be joined this week by my old friend, Donny, the Golden Boy Lalonde, former WBC light heavyweight champion of the world. It's been a while, Donny. How are you doing?
I'm great. Great to see you guys. Always nice to see you guys, both of you.
It's always great to see Donny. There was a time when I wouldn't like to see him. It was in Gleason's in that right hand of yours. Oh my
God! you two sparred, right? You two sparred a bunch of rounds.
Man, yeah. It must have been like what, 86?
Oh, it was so funny.
It was crazy.
Michael, we boxed one day, and Michael outboxed me so much it made me feel like a kid, and like I was in the sandbox, and he was like on skates or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember that part, but I do remember feeling that right hand whistling by my head a couple of times, and I was just like, "Oh my God!" I saw something else at that point. I was like, "No, this is the kind of guy you definitely want to make sure you make him miss," because I was focused on that right hand. That's all I looked at. I was like, "Yeah."
And appropriately enough, with there being a natural size difference between you two gentlemen, people made a big deal of the size difference in last night's blockbuster for the undisputed lightweight championship of the world, and it didn't appear to be a factor. A lot of the fans and media and industry are outraged and believe that Vasyl Lomachenko was robbed. I don't know if I want to use that language, to be honest with you, gentlemen, but I think it was a clear enough win for Lomachenko, and I don't see the argument in any aspect that Devin Haney was a better man last night. I know that you're a little bit more in the middle on that, Michael.
Yeah, I really could have seen either fighter winning. You know, Donny, it was one of those kind of fights where one guy established himself early, but it wasn't like a real solid. It kind of like fluctuated. In every round, there were little fluctuations, like ebb and flows. And then when nobody really established themselves until later. Probably 10th round, Lomachenko had the best round that either fighter had. I think he had visibly hurt Haney and had him in trouble, but he didn't take it to that next level. And this is the thing that I was talking about with great fighters. Like everyone was using the term. What was the term they used last night? That it was a high end stuff or something like
high
that.
High tech, they keep saying, Michael.
Well, they call him high tech, but they said this is high-end stuff between these two fighters. Like what they were both doing was like really the highest.
The level they were at.
Yeah. The level they were at was higher than you'd ever seen with boxers before.
No.
And I'm like, no, that's absolutely not the case at all. And these people continue to forget that, like what Sugar Ray did with Tommy Hearns in the late rounds, what Joe Frazier did with Ali in the 15th round, what Ali did with Frazier in the third fight. You know
what Holmes Norton in the 15th.
Holmes Norton, yeah, like in those championship rounds when it's time to shift up, these guys did that, and they were able to do that with skill, with precision, with knowledge, and with purpose. And neither Lomachenko or Haney were able to do that and clearly define a win for themselves when they needed to. Both of them kind of like were iffy in the 11th and 12th rounds, as far as I was concerned. And I think that was
Michael. After 6 rounds, I felt Haney might not have won a round beyond argument, even though I could see he might have been awarded a round here or there. I thought the first round was even. I didn't think he was imposing himself on the fight. I know you speak a lot about this kind of thing. I felt that Haney was constantly reacting to what Lomachenko was doing, and he was never managing to dictate the pattern of the fight, the pace of the fight himself at all. I think I'll go and ask you a couple of questions. Did Lomachenko throw more punches? Like, imagine we're in a courtroom. Just yes or no will do. Did he throw more punches?
But Donny, you would know this. I don't think Lomachenko threw more purposeful punches. Lomachenko has this thing he does, and he sort of like paints a picture. He goes like this, and then whap, he'll throw one in. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he'll touch, and then whap.
Like Joe Kozagi.
And people are counting those touches as
good analogy.
You know what I mean? It's
like
they're counting those touches as punches, and that's wrong.
But everything I've heard about it, everything I hear is what Lomachenko did and what the other guy didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And maybe some of what Lomachenko could have done.
Yeah.
But it seems to me Lomachenko won this fight. I mean, he outpointed him a lot, and he controlled the pace of the fight. Is that true or no?
No.
Well, where I was going, Michael,
Oh,
if
okay.
you're in the witness stand for a second, Michael, I said so. 3 more punches. You answered that with your little qualification, which was important. Okay. Did Lomachenko land more punches? What? Once again, that's the question to you.
I'm not exactly sure because
just not sure. Just not sure. It's fine. One more question. That's it. Did Lomachenko hurt Haney on a couple of occasions?
He hurt. I know he definitely hurt him in the 10th round.
Was he ever hurt in return? Lomachenko?
I think with the body shots, with that right uppercut to the body, he hurt Lomachenko one time definitely. I think one time he hurt Lomachenko with a right uppercut to the body, and that was the one punch. That was the one thing different Haney did that he'd never done before, that he adjusted and brought into the fight with Lomachenko. Lomachenko was doing the same thing he always did, and I'm like, I don't get it. All he had to do was apply pressure on this kid and throw that, and come with that straight left to the body and come over with the right hand, and he would have had him, and he did that in the 10th round. But what was his corner telling him? I don't get the communication between either one of their corners. I think they did not perform well, and they in turn hurt their fighters because they didn't give them proper perspective of the fight.
So it's funny you say that, Michael, because I actually think, as much as they call him the Matrix and all the rest of it, and he is a wonderfully skilled fighter, I actually think he is quite readable, or more readable than people would have you believe, because he does have repeatable patterns. Do you think that as well, Donny, from what you've seen of him?
The thing you have to remember in the conversation is the quality of these two fighters. Lomachenko, what he is in a pro world title fight in his second fight or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's had 20 fights, about 15 of them in world title fights. Haney's an exceptional level of fighter. So between the two of them, sometimes one guy makes another guy look bad, or they're not as effective as you thought they should have been. I mean, they're fighting great fighters. These are two great fighters in there. It's like watching Willie Pep and saying, yeah, but the guy didn't hit him much. I know, but he's fighting Willie Pep. Nobody hit him in 250 fights. So from everything I've heard, it was a lot of Lomachenko trying to make a fight, Haney being happy that anything he could neutralize, but nothing that he did was really, as Michael was suggesting, he's saying it with both of them, but none of them took it up to that level and kind of like commanded a victory. Exactly. But at least it sounds like Lomachenko did more. I mean, you got to give some credit to that. If somebody's not really doing much but surviving, at least the other guy's trying. Yeah,
but it wasn't really like he wasn't trying either. He was trying. He wasn't landing on Lomachenko clean except for to the body, really. And there were odd jabs and odd hooks and stuff like that, right hand counters, things like this that he was able to do. They were both one-shotting a lot, like pot-shotting a lot. And Haney's going to do that. Lomachenko is more of a heel punching
combination.
Yeah, but he wasn't able to do that consistently.
But do you see him consistently land that straight left hand from the side, often slip and come back with a straight left hand counter? And he was constantly nailing Haney with that pretty clean a lot of the time.
Yeah, a lot of the time he was, yes. But again,
more than you saw Haney do anything similar in the same kind of way consistently well.
Do I think that? Sorry, repeat that.
Did you see Lomachenko doing that more consistently well than Haney did anything else? Perhaps.
That's kind of a gray area for me because I didn't look at it like that. Like, the way I talk about fights, the way I like to talk about fights is when you're watching a fight and observing a fight, you're kind of, if you look at the space in between the fighters, you're able to tell a lot more than if you're staring at one fighter and if you're looking at one fighter and you're kind of, at that point, you're mesmerized by what they're doing, and all you're seeing is what they're doing offensively and defensively, and you're not seeing what his opponent is doing.
So, I think that's a great point.
In the center and see the energies coming across. And what happened to me? With me, I saw Devin's energy dominating, and then I saw Lomachenko's go, and then I saw Lomachenko's ebb, and then I saw Lomachenko come back forwards. So I wasn't really counting punches, but I was looking at that energy exchange between the two, and this is kind of what I saw.
A lot of people don't understand the point that Michael just made. It is possible, is it not, to watch one fighter, even though they're in the same fight together, sometimes you can watch one fighter at the expense of the other when you're weighing up a fight. Do you think?
Of course. And some fighters, subconsciously, you favor styles. You favor power over defense.
Yeah.
You favor footwork over head movement. So I mean, we all have our biases that we can't. We try really hard not to allow affect our opinion, but they do.
Can I ask both of you, regardless of because I suspect Michael, if he'd have scored it round by round, may well have got Lomachenko winning, but he simply doesn't regard it as a heist. He's not as hard line on it as I am, and he can see the argument why somebody would have at least had them all square. But can I ask both you gentlemen, over and above last night's fight, the problem in boxing generally, do we have a problem with scoring in boxing that needs reform and needs addressing? And does it desperately need more clarity to avoid this situation occurring so relentlessly, almost on a weekly basis? Michael first then.
Oh, I was going to say our guest first.
Go on. Donny first. Go on.
I personally think on that, it's just like, obviously there is corruption. There's corruption in every business. There's corruption in everything mankind does, because we're, tempted by greed and fear, and fear is not having enough, So there is corruption. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say yes for sure. But I got to say, I honestly tried judging once.
You said that.
Invited me to, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe what a limited perspective I had and how hard it was for me to see a lot of times what actually happened, So I've always been such a critic of judges until that happened.
Put yourself in their shoes.
Right. And I've done it once. And I was so wrong. I just went, oh my God! I want to apologize to every judge.
When you say your perspective, do you mean where you were sitting, or do you mean just your whole?
Yeah, where you're sitting. Yeah, but where you're sitting, you see 20% of the whole thing.
So what? So
you
guys,
can't see it the other way. The ref's in the way. The guy's turning. This guy's turning.
That's what I don't understand about boxing. Why doesn't it adjust? Why doesn't it put 3 judges beside each other in a room with cameras like we see at home and be able to judge a fight from there? Because seeing it on a camera, I'd rather watch a fight on TV than I would go live and watch it.
Yeah.
And even with the little stick where they could go back and do a replay.
Exactly.
Did that really happen? Oh yeah, you got him with that. Yeah. Oh, I didn't see that. And they can figure it out for 30 seconds and then do their.
Do they need VAR? Like when they replay it. Do you think they need that technology at the fingertips?
Why not? Why not have the best that technology offers?
Yes.
We do that with everything else in life. Why would we limit ourselves to an archaic way of doing something?
100%. What if there were sensors in the knuckles of the gloves or whatever? That kind of thing.
Michael, that's interesting, because do you remember the amateur gloves with the white patches on the gloves?
Yeah.
Popular in the 70s and 80s, Teofilo Stevenson kind of things. Because some people suggested that there should be some gloves. That was to distinguish the knuckle part landing, right? Mm-hmm. But some people suggested there should be a sensor in the gloves which registers a punch, and I put you on the target area, the face and the acceptable areas of the body. But the thing with that is when you're just counting punches. Right, but that's what they endeavoured to do when they had the computer scoring. After Roy Jones got robbed in the Olympic final in Seoul 1988, the Olympic Committee threatened to throw boxing out of the programme if they didn't come back with a more appreciable scoring criteria. Because you must admit, we know boxing, right? Especially you two, and we understand how to score fights, or we think we understand how to score fights because we've been around it for a long time. But when you try and explain it to a layperson, you say, what do you score on? We'd probably say, well, it's a mixture of things. It's this and it's that. And they said, that's not good enough. You need to. So in the end, they said, okay, let's make it about the punches. So you count the punches. So we're going to use a computer. And it's going to, as long as you guys press this within a second of each other, 3 of you out of 5, then a point is registered to the red corner. But see, that is not judging in its entirety, is it? That is literally counting punches. Do you know what I mean? It's punch stats.
Yeah, of course. Donny? There's nothing. Yeah, it's ridiculous, in my opinion.
And that's where the sensor would lead us, right, Michael? The sensors that would be like a more reliable calculator. Yes.
I think it would, and the technology exists at this point. It really does. They have these punch things for fitness programs, you know what I mean? So So it'll let you know exactly when, impact is made, maybe even how great the impact is.
Was, yeah.
But I also believe that you can't just score offense. You have to score defense as well. Like if someone's flipping and blocking, why isn't that being counted as?
See, I don't agree with that, Michael. We've had this before. I don't agree with it. The reason why is because I think it's wonderful defense. It's utterly crucial, more important than anything else, probably. But for me, it's not positive. It's not a positive. It's not a positive scoring criteria. What it does is it stops your opponent scoring. The same way a beautiful save in football that stops the opposition getting a goal. You don't get a goal for saving it. That's my value base. It's
but your goalie can still be the most valuable player in the tournament.
Absolutely,
because he stopped the most goals.
Yeah,
the defense was actually what won the game.
Exactly, getting points for defense.
That's what won the game, and that's what Michael's saying. That's giving points for defense. I mean, you can't ignore if you're trying to weigh and balance a fight. Mm-hmm. Two guys come out of the fight and one guy's all beat up and the other guy isn't. I mean, you got to give some credence to that. The guy who didn't get beat up had to do something right.
Because the other guy landed more punches. That's what you should be looking at. You should be looking at punches landed on the target. And the only thing that needs to come into that equation is relative force and impact. And obviously, there's the question of knockdowns and how knockdowns can impact on the scoring.
That's why you want the human element. 3 opinions.
Yeah.
Completely different perspective.
But I mean, it's extremely important. One, we talk about ring generalship and controlling the ring and controlling the pace.
Exactly.
Defense is an extremely important part of ring generalship. Right? I mean, that's naturally it. If you're able to stop a man from look at Floyd Mayweather's everything about Floyd Mayweather's success is based off defense first. The first thing when the bell rings, the first thing he wants to do is stop you from hitting him. Once you get dissuaded, once you get discouraged, then he starts putting it on you offensively. And that comes like about the 4th, 5th round. Every single fight is like that. He comes out, he does this, and he's doing that, and he's blocking, and guys get frustrated, and they get winded. They start to stick that jab. Then he'll pot shot you with the right hand. Then he'll come back with the left hook. And that is exactly his thing. But defense is winning him that fight.
But it's the defense that set it up.
I don't deny that. I just don't think it should be a positive scoring criteria. I hope you understand the difference between. I'm absolutely about defense. I think it's just so important. And like you say, Mayweather led with his defense, and I think he was possibly the finest defensive fighter, all told, that we've ever seen. I think in every aspect. I just don't think that stops you getting hit, which is absolutely beautiful because it stops people scoring on you. I don't see, everybody uses that Woody Pet parable, right? The myth that he won a round without throwing a punch. That didn't happen, and it shouldn't happen. But if you don't get hit, you can't get beaten. My dad told me that a long time ago. Unfortunately, I didn't adhere to it. But I'm not disagreeing with the spirit of what you're saying, but I think we need to be careful about scoring points for defense. I think we should be scoring on punches.
This is why you need the human element involved, because we have different opinions we're never going to agree on.
Never going to
agree. We're going to judge it based on different things.
Yes.
You watch a fight. Here we are, all 3 of us watching a fight. And one guy does, and Michael and I are like, "Wow, look at that guy's defense. The guy never hit him, and he hit him 4 times. 40 times.
Isn't that even part of what Lomachenko was all about? The ability he's able to slip and turn and pivot and get it. Those things are like in people's minds. They may not be scoring points for him, but they are. They're saying,
like you say, ring generalship. We're giving him value for that.
Yeah,
we're giving him credence for that. Yeah, exactly. You're saying no, it's only who hits each other most, and it's true. Probably who hits each other most is by far the biggest in the weigh and balance scale. By far the biggest, but those other things can't be ignored.
But defense, you can give like half points for defense. I mean, it's really scoring. But these guys, you know what I mean? Give him a half point for defense. If you slip a punch, give him half. You don't have to give him a point for a punch.
But how would you actually apply that, Michael? I mean, did you actually score last night, round by round?
I did not, no.
Because you've got these theories which sound okay, but seriously, how do you? Because there is no half-point measure. There is no half-point measure.
No, there isn't. But it doesn't mean they shouldn't create one just because there isn't.
So we do agree the scoring system needs reform and more clarity, right?
Yeah, sure. It could definitely use some reform. It's ancient.
Yeah. And I think, like you stated earlier, Donny and Ben, you both said the same thing, and that's. If you're sitting at a certain angle, you're not going to get the full feel of the fight. And certain things are just going to stop you from seeing the fight for what it really is. So at that point, you need to do there needs to be a bird's eye view for the person scoring the fight.
Exactly. Yeah,
down
exactly.
lower than the action. They should be sitting lower than the action and looking up, and then there's a ref in between, and then they have the guy with the camera, and then they have the corner, and you just miss so much. So they do need to upgrade boxing in those ways so they can get
absolutely.
A
before we move on to the more personal story of our illustrious guests, and we should explain to the ladies and gentlemen that Donny didn't see the fight last night because he's living basically in the jungle. I think it's Costa Rica, and it's harder for Donny to watch fights sometimes where he is. We're actually amazed we're getting this signal with him today. But I want to ask both of you gentlemen a question, starting with Donny. One more question about scoring and professional boxing and the industry. A lot of the fans refer, glibly to the passing of brown envelopes. Donny, the idea there's blatant corruption, there's payola. Have you ever seen any evidence of that in your long years in boxing, of anything being that blatant, as if to say, well, listen, we'll look after you and we'll pay you a certain amount to favor our guy?
I've seen a lot of things in boxing, crazy, crazy things, but I've never seen that. I've never seen somebody pay a ref to do something or a fighter to do something, or never seen any of that. You hear the stories.
Yeah.
Michael? I've never seen it.
I mean, we've all had different experiences in boxing, and Donny, I don't know if you've come from you are in the business and you kind of do business with people that are a little bit dubious, nefarious, whatever it is. You run into those kinds of people, and they're a real legitimate part of boxing. I know that in a fight or two of mine, I've had some kind of crazy things happen where you would say there has been some outside influence in the decisions of obvious, blatant.
For sure.
You know what I mean? But
for sure.
But between the judges, I've never seen that. I've seen, obviously, there are people that are connected in serious ways in the business, and they kind of sway things their way. And that was obviously a lot more prevalent decades ago, or even 10, 20 years ago, more prevalent.
I mean, it could be happening right now. I would be surprised if it never happened. I would be shocked. But I can't say I've seen somebody pay somebody, or actually even know of an instance where I know that happened. Mm-hmm. Honestly, don't.
Yeah.
Okay. I've never been involved with anything like that, or seen it or heard it. I've not heard of it, not heard it, seen it.
I can't say, because I want to stay 6 feet, not 6 feet under for a while.
Yeah, Michael, your answer, Donny's answer.
No, I've seen all.
Open. You seem to like you're holding something close to your chest here, Silk. Yeah.
Well, there's lots about boxing that we can't probably say.
Yeah.
Because it's the people you'd be speaking against, are people I actually, this many years later, feel like I'm probably okay to say anything about anybody. Even though, I've had my life.
You there, wherever that is, Donny.
Well, if they haven't found me yet, they threatened me. They threatened me that many years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, to a point where police came to me and said, "We're undercover. There's been a contract put on your life. We're here to protect you. We got to move you to A or B." So I know stuff has happened, and I know who they are, and I know what they're about. And today, it's mafia. It's mafia people, And whether but back in the day, it was in Montreal, it was in Winnipeg, it was in New York,
Mm-hmm. Donny, the first time you ever spoke to me in any form, or we ever had contact on social media, and I was starstruck when you did comment. It's going back quite a few years. I posted a thread about Teddy Atlas, and you said something along the lines of, well, yes, Teddy Atlas is the kind of guy who talks casually in his autobiography of his cold-blooded plans to murder me. So you have to be careful. You have to take what that kind of individual says with a pinch of salt. And I was like, wow, Donny Lalonde just commented on my Facebook, because I wasn't as I don't want to say big, because I'm not saying I'm big now, but I was less big then. And I was like, why is Donny Lalonde talking to me on Facebook? But that was that's the kind of lead in. I know we're jumping ahead of your story, but that was the first thing you chimed in with quite matter-of-factly. You were saying, well, yeah, Teddy Atlas is talking in his book like he'd come to shoot me and kill me because he thinks that I cut him out of a load of, finances by firing him ahead of the Sugar Ray Leonard fight. And I was like, wow.
That was a particularly that was a huge part of your life right there, right, Donny? The whole Sugar Ray, Dave Wolf. You had Dave Wolf your whole career, didn't you? Or most of it?
No, 1985.
Okay.
I got with Dave, October of 85, and he moved me to New York.
Yeah.
I was looking around for a promoter always. I used to. Yeah. Pete Susans brought up opponents or fighters to Winnipeg fight cards. Mm-hmm. And Pete is very tight with Bruce Trampler. So Bruce Trampler is Bob Arum's matchmaker.
Oh, yes.
So I was always close to Arum and Top Rank, and I would beg them to sign me to fight, but they'd be like, why, Donny? Why would we sign you? I said, because I'm better than your guys. What do we care? You're Canadian. I know, but I'm a Canadian champion. I know, but if you come to the coffee shop in New York for a coffee, bring your belt, but you better bring 25 cents because you're going to need to buy your coffee. The belt's not going to get you anything, And, we had to really, back then, Michael, coming from Canada, we were kind of very not really thought highly of. We had one Canadian with success, which was George Chuvalo.
Yes.
And people, incorrectly thought of him as a punching bag. George was actually a very talented fighter,
Yes, he was.
And fought many great fighters and very honorable career.
Yes.
But that wasn't the perception of Canadians back then.
Yeah.
A bit like British fighters, Donny. British fighters had a soft rep for many years.
With one exception, then, both Donny and I were amongst the two better looking guys in boxing, I think.
You were. There's a definite link there. The whole thing was.
He obviously has vision problems.
Yeah.
Golden boy.
Yeah. Absolutely. You two were both marketed as kind of sex symbols and all the rest of it, that's why I would have thought they were missing a trick with Donny, saying they couldn't sell him or they couldn't market him because of the blonde locks and the handsomeness and being articulate. They obviously missed a trick there if they were hesitant to sign him. But
when Michael and I were coming up, again, Canadians as boxers in general were lightly regarded.
Yeah.
And the people they were really focused on was Sean O'Sullivan and Willie DeWitt because they were Olympians.
Yes.
So there's sponsorships, there's mainstream media connections with Olympians and television. Professional boxing back then had a kind of underground kind of perspective. And there wasn't a lot of fighters selling 7-Up. There was Ray Leonard, who else? Right.
Yeah. But so Donny, so I'm sorry, but you were able to take it a much higher level than what I was able to. You were able to get to that point where you were in that super fight.
I was very blessed, and I had very good people around me. Dave Wolf did a great job. Tommy Gallagher was a big part. My trainer, he was a big part of putting that fight together.
Yeah.
Well, the Leonard people had an experience with Dave previous. I'm trying to think of what it was. But anyway, they wouldn't deal with him directly. They didn't want to deal with him directly. And so Tommy was the intermediary. And Tommy, Tommy's he's got a silver tongue. He can say anything to anybody, and it's going to be the right thing at the right time. And, So Tommy made that fight more than anybody. But Dave put me in the position by keeping me independent from a promoter, so Ray didn't have to deal with Arum or King or any other promoter. This kind of a thing. So part of it, Michael, was really good management by keeping me a free agent.
Yes.
Like Jerry Cooney fighting Holmes, that all happened because he was a free agent also.
Yeah.
Everybody says, oh, it's white. No, it's because they're free agents.
Yeah.
I've kept my guy Malik. I've got Malik, this fighter right now, right? And he's a free agent, and we've kept him a free agent all the way up till now. But it's costing him time, and I think it's time to get him a promoter, It's time to get him with a promoter and a sponsor so he can just focus on boxing. He's been too focused trying to do everything. I was very blessed. I mean, I didn't have what O'Sullivan and DeWitt had, which was sponsors and management, organized structure all around me from when I was young.
Yes.
But I didn't go to the Olympics either. I didn't deserve it. You know, you have to prove yourself.
Yeah. But you were
had 15 amateur fights.
You loved
in the pros I did eventually, yeah.
How many
15 amateur fights?
15. Wow. That's not very many.
I was 11-4. No.
Wow.
I didn't even want to have any. I wanted to just turn pro. I had no interest in amateur boxing.
And so how did you make that space? Were you sparring a lot? Were you like?
Yeah. That's what I did. I sparred a lot. You fought Wayne Caplet. Remember you fought Wayne Caplet, right?
Yeah.
Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Wayne was the main sparring guy for me when I was, coming up.
Yeah.
Lennox Lewis was growing up in the gym I was in Kitchener, Ontario. He was 12 when I started. I was 15. And so, there was good guys in there. One guy fought Leonard. Bobby Prue was his name, a Canadian Olympian. So I had good boxing in Canada, relatively speaking, for Canada. But more than that is when I was young, I drove to the States and just sparred with, back in those days, it said Marvin Johnson was the meanest and toughest guy in a boxing gym. Got any weight, anywhere. He's an animal. He'll try and knock out anybody. I said, I got to go box with that guy, because I didn't get the amateur background.
Yeah.
So I just moved. I just went and moved. I walked in and Champ Chaney looks at me, boys, what do you want here? Like we're in the wrong part of the neighborhood, right? Wrong part of town. And I'm like, I'm here to box. And he goes, really? Who do you want to box? I said, Marvin Johnson. He goes, okay, well, you box anytime you want. Because Marvin would knock people out every day.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, this is what I need. I need somebody who's literally going to make me learn how to fight, like one way or another. So anyway, so I just from that point on just went to learn in sparring. I figured that out early.
Yeah. My friend John Doe just asked, did you ever train with the Hilton family?
I'm very close with the Hilton family, and I fought on cards they fought on, but I never trained with them because they're in Montreal, and I only fought in Montreal.
Okay.
I never trained there. Yeah. I love the Hiltons.
Yeah, we had them on last week.
Great guys. Crazy, great guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
So then Michael, I had really good people around me, like Dave. Yes. The people that he put in my life, that kind of brought People Magazine or Sports Illustrated and that kind of stuff. Yeah. That all came obviously because of the Leonard thing, but it was also already in the works. I was already world champion. I defended against Stewart because Dave had these kind of cross marketing experience and know-how and team behind him. Like you fought with Bobby Goodman in New York. At the Garden, right? I mean, it's not a bigger stage. It's not a bigger stage.
New York was where it's at. Now, did you also work with Gina Andriola?
Gina is Dave's wife.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So she was my attorney. Yeah. Well, she did everything.
Yes.
I mean, she told me what to wear. She told me what. I mean, she's like my mother. Gina's awesome. I love Gina. Yeah.
So you give us going up to the Ray Leonard fight. This is huge. It's massive. You're doing press all over the place. In your career, I guess, when was your biggest star moment? When did you think like this, wow, it's never been like this before and I love it? Like what's happening in your world at that point?
I mean, I guess there's a few things in so much as like other people you get to meet that, you look up to, like Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Or for me, Bob Dylan, or for me, Paul Simon, just different people, hockey players, football, people in other sports. So one part of it, of course, was that part. Mm-hmm. And then, one time I was in a convertible in LA and these people on this bus stood up and started screaming my name and talking, and I was like, oh my God, and it just kind of was like, wow, you forgot, you don't realize, things like that. Things like that happen, and you just go, oh my God, I guess people, like you go to Italy, you think nobody's going to know you. You're in a restaurant, they start hugging you. Oh my God. And they take over, show you your poster and love you. And everything's on the house and blah, blah, blah,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Those kind of things, I guess,
Since you mentioned Bob Dylan, Donny, one thing that the viewers may find interesting and probably don't know, I believe you trained Dylan in boxing at some point in the last several years. You actually, you know, like he was a personal training client of yours, if you will. Or...
Well, no, I mean, I never charged Bob anything. Bob and I have always been friends. Yeah. And so, you know, it was more a number of years back, and he always talked boxing before I met him. I knew that. So as soon as I met him, I just asked him for an address that he would, because he told me he wanted to have a boxing gym. And I sent him everything you need for a boxing gym. Yeah. He still has that gym today in LA. In Santa Monica. Yeah. But anyway, so we would spar and, you know, I mean, he was quite a bit older than me. Like, I'm 63 right now. And back then I thought 50 was ancient. You know, and he was probably 50 or, you know, something like that, you know. Yeah. So, but anyway, it was a lot of fun. Bob just loves boxing. He loves boxing, and he takes everything he does very seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know? But imagine if you had footage of Donny Lalonde sparring with Bob Dylan. That's stuff for the social media age right there.
Well, Donny, what I thought was a great quote after one time we sparred, he goes, "So, Donny, did I do anything wrong?" Like, no, Bob, you were perfect. You're Muhammad Ali. What do you need? What more do you need to learn?
Donny, let me ask you, what is the hardest punch you've ever hit somebody with? Who was that person? And tell me what happened.
Probably Eddie Davis. Like Eddie I literally Davis. Was afraid for him. Yeah. Because he was kind of half out of it already, and I turned him to the side. So he didn't see it coming. Like I like literally have chills on my body telling you, because I was so afraid for his life. You know, Michael, I punched hard, and I mean that's all I had because I was beat up every other way. You know, and so like I remember, you can see it in the fight. I like kind of like my gun's loaded, and I like. Cock it back, and oh my God, I really don't want to throw this. And then I throw it. And he goes down. I mean, literally, his body didn't move. His hands still stayed like he was fighting. His feet were twitching like this for a long time.
Wow.
You know, everybody wants to celebrate. And I'm like, hey, this freaking guy's not even, conscious. So I would have to say probably Eddie Davis, you know.
Wow. And you, when did you realize you had that kind of power?
I realized that early, again, because I had to learn how to punch. I actually started boxing because I love boxing. I just love the make a guy miss and then make him pay for trying to hit you idea. You know, it was just so fun to me. It was almost like playing tag, you know. And then you know, I had torn my rotator cuff in hockey, so I had a messed up left shoulder, and then I destroyed my right hand. So I had to learn how to be a pinpoint hard punch, accurate hard puncher. And I had to hit you where it was soft. That's what I mean. I turned it to the side, so I hit him on the soft part of the chin. You know, because my hands were destroyed. I broke my left hand. I broke both my hands in one fight by the third round. You know, so I had to learn how to be a puncher and an accurate puncher, and very good defensively because I couldn't do much offensively other than that. I couldn't get in there and mess it up with you guys because I would screw up something, elbow, shoulder, hand.
Watching you, I got that sense, and even in the Leonard fight, that you've gone an awful long way on a necessarily reduced set of offensive attributes. Your jab literally looked like it was a measuring string sometimes, just to set up that booming right hand. And because of the injuries, and it looked like you'd really had to maximize your best assets because of the physical injuries and all the rest of it.
You know,
but you know one thing. Sorry, go ahead, Michael.
So I was going to say the interesting thing about your style, having moved with you, you may not think your left hand was that effective, but one, it still hurt, like it stung when it hit you, and it served as a distraction. It blinded you from what was coming behind it. You know what I mean? The right hand, which made
you can't fight at the levels we fought at, Michael, without being able to fight with two hands, both hands. You know, my left hand was way better than people think. Ray Leonard says that number of people I have fought afterwards said that, you know, the part that shocked them is my left hand. They thought all they read was I didn't have one, you know. But mainly what that's all timing, you know.
Yeah.
You know, punching is timing anyway. Power in boxing, punch power really comes from timing, you know. If all you have is strength in your punch, you're going to knock somebody over, but you're not going to knock them out or down.
Yes.
You know, timing is what gives you where you snap that nerve or, you know, whatever the heck it is that we snap down there, and all of a sudden your legs go and everything. You're like, you don't even know your own name for a minute. And you're like, what the hell happened to me? You know, where's the bus? How do I get on my ass here? You know, so, you know, that's how you punch. You know, that's how I learned how to punch. If you hit the guy right, he's gone for like 10 seconds. You know, he'll be okay. But if for 10 seconds he doesn't know his name, you know, and that was my focus, was to not get hit as much as possible and to knock somebody out, because I didn't have the resilience.
Yeah.
You know.
And I get the impression you were one of those punchers. Michael talks about this a lot. The mindset of the puncher is a guy that knows I only have to hit you sweet once, and I'm going for an early shower.
That was my problem in the Leonard fight when he went down in the 4th round. Yeah. That's exactly what went through my mind. It didn't hit him clean. One more. If I hit him next time, I hit him clean, this is over. Yeah. So I stopped doing what I did to set him up to land the punches, which was use my left hand to move him around till he walks into one. And instead, I started watching and waiting for him to make a mistake till I hit him.
Yeah.
Well, Ray's not going to volunteer to make a mistake.
Exactly.
Set him up for it.
You clipped him off the top of the head too. I remember that, which is a dangerous punch to get hit with. That just kind of like sloshes everything all over the place, especially your type of right hand, the right hand you were carrying at that time. But you hit him off the top of the head, right?
Yeah.
And
he actually got caught right here.
Oh, that's where it was, really?
You know, if it was down here, it was over.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly.
That's what I meant by, if I just catch him, like it was like here, just a little bit on the side right here.
Yeah.
If it was like that much further south, he wouldn't have got up.
That's wild. I could have swore I thought I saw him clip off.
It looked like that on the replay, but it looked.
Watch it. Yeah. No, I know. I mean, look, it's 30 years later. How many times have I seen? I've seen. I don't know.
I watched that a million times myself. I really did.
I still wouldn't say you're inaccurate,
yeah.
but I remember it hitting him here.
You were that close.
Is it still
missed by that much? Maxwell's smart. Remember?
Is it still the source, Donny, of a massive regret for you, or are you over it, or is that still one of those bittersweet kind of things where you think, God damn, if only?
No, you know what? Not if only, because I mean, what happened in my life with a little bit of kind of like fame and fortune that happened in my life, mainly to the people around me more so than me personally, but me personally as well. What happened in my life to the degree I experienced, I probably would be dead by now. I probably wouldn't be with my wife. I probably wouldn't be, with my family, because life got so crazy so fast. When Sylvester Stallone's offering you a part in Rocky.
Yeah.
You're going to go home after the meet. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different world.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that world. That wasn't what I was interested. I was interested in becoming a world champion. Yeah. Making enough money to be, okay, and being mentally sound after boxing. Those are my 3 goals. So after the Leonard fight, I had accomplished that. Before the Leonard fight, I had accomplished that. Mm-hmm. With the Leonard fight, the money, obviously, I'd accomplished it more.
Yes.
But yeah, so it wasn't like that for me.
Mm-hmm.
Ben. No. And also, when it comes to wealth, Donny, I mean, I know you've got a big 7-figure purse for the Leonard fight. Oh, you said that there's a whole world of money, which is actually quite complicated, and hanging on to your money when you're a young, successful person is not as simple as you might have imagined. Is that true?
Well, let's put it numbers wise. Of all the boxers I know of our generation, Michael will probably agree with me. Well, I'm going to say there's two that I know of. I believe, and I apologize too. Either one of them if I'm wrong, but I believe. Oh my God, Mark Breland,
yes.
and Jerry Cooney,
yes,
are 2 that kept their money.
Larry Holmes,
and Larry Holmes. You're right, exactly.
Sugar Ray Leonard, of course.
So 3. Out of how many hundreds?
Henry
Leonard. Henry Leonard.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point. Ray never stopped making money though.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
my trainer had him.
even you know you got to add now. You got to add Tyson to that, but Tyson never stopped making money.
But he went
Mike
broke.
Tyson lost everything.
Yeah,
of course he did.
Yeah,
he did. He did.
So
Mancini went broke.
Yeah,
wow,
yeah, very few. Very
few went broke. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's why he fought. That's why he fought Camacho. I said to Dave, why would he fight Camacho? He goes, what do you mean why? Why? He goes for money. He goes for money. You know.
Yeah.
And I said, well, okay. He needs the money, and I said, wow. I didn't know after you make millions, you need money. Now I know.
Yeah. Well, you told me a few years ago in Milan, Donny, you said that at the time there was a lot of publicity about, I think it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, whose money guy, his attorney or whatever, his financial advisor, like a hideous amount of money on his behalf, which meant he had to go teaching basketball in high school again. And you were a little bit paranoid about that, and you didn't necessarily trust the financial advisors around you or anybody. And I think the line you used at the time was, or to me in Milan was, if anyone was going to lose my money, it was going to be me. And you said, and I did it too.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't take long.
Faster than he would have for sure.
How did you do that, Donny? How did you
I'll answer that in a second. But the guy's name was Richie Vaccarello. And it's not that I didn't trust Richie. It's I didn't trust kind of like the system, like what happened with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, in other words, anybody can lose your money. I mean, I don't know if this guy's a criminal. He probably is. But you hear about, like, you know, Don, like my money manager said to me, Donny, look at Donald Trump as an example. He's in real estate. Because I told him I'll just put money in real estate. You can't lose. And he goes, well, Donald Trump's in real estate. He makes $1 billion every deal he does. But every 10 years he goes broke. He goes bankrupt. And then he does it again. You know, he goes, money management is very different than making money. And he goes, and you've made your money. You don't need to make money. You need to hold on to your wealth and let it fund your life.
Yes.
If you said, if you can live this life the rest of your life, are you not okay? I said, I'm better than okay. He goes, that's all I'm talking about. He goes, don't worry about anything about money anymore. If you want to do stuff, do it on the side, do a separate project. And we give you startup finance, and then you can build it. But if it doesn't build itself, you don't want to do it. You don't want to buy something to make money. You want it to make you money. If it's making you money, then you don't need a bunch of money. He goes, so you're in a position to do anything you want. Don't risk it. And he's 100% accurate, you know. But that's easy to say in retrospect, and I can say that, but that's because he was a good guy. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's guy might not have been.
Yeah.
You've heard a million stories like this guy Madoff. He made off with all these people's money. This other sick guy is freaking eating kids or something. He managed all kinds of people's money. You know what I mean? Like, just because the guy's a money manager also doesn't make him a good person. Yeah. So we don't know. We don't know what we can do for sure. But it's certainly not easy. I mean, money management is freaking, for me, it's nuts.
And generally, fighters are always first generation money. And the first generation to hold on to anything is hard. You know what I mean?
Very difficult. Yeah, again, the people around you also, everybody around you has never been around money.
Yeah, exactly.
So every conversation's coming from that perspective. You know?
Donny, I remember when we talked about the fight, the Leonard fight, and I remember you telling me that during that fight, Ray hit you in the throat.
Yeah.
And
watch the fight. That's how it ended. Just watch the fight. I lifted up.
Yeah.
It's not on him. It's on me.
Yeah.
He was throwing punches at my chin. I lifted up, which left my throat open, and he hit me with a 2-punch combination. That's the last 2 punches of the fight.
Yeah.
So those punches crushed my larynx. Like, I only have half a larynx. I had surgery after.
Yeah.
November was the fight. December I had surgery, and they tried to reopen it, but they couldn't.
Wow.
So instead of being around like it's supposed to be, it's like kind of like that.
Yeah.
Almost closed.
Yeah.
Ruined my singing career. You know, I was going to be.
But if you listen to Donny's post-fight interview in the Leonard fight, Donny can hardly talk because of a lot of people haven't seen that interview for whatever reason. But Donny is clearly struggling with basic speech because he was hit in the throat. You know.
Yeah. Wow. And you felt. I mean, obviously, the pain registered as well, or was your adrenaline masked off? No pain.
No, I wouldn't say it. I mean, I felt the connection. Like, you know, if you feel when a punch connects with you.
Yeah.
But we're fighters. We don't feel pain.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I never felt pain in a boxing ring.
So you've never felt? How about, have you been thumbed in the eye? Like,
Okay, now let me take that back. One time I ran Barkley. One time Barkley, Michael, in Gleason's there, used to box. I ran Barkley all the time.
Yeah.
He hit me with an uppercut.
Yeah.
And I mean, it didn't break my nose. My nose never been broken, but like my whole head seemed like it was bleeding out of every pore, Yeah. I mean, the guy hit me so hard.
Yeah.
With an uppercut.
Yeah.
Lennox Lewis hit me once really hard.
Oh my God.
1983. So he was like 220.
Yeah.
I was 170.
Yeah.
I was going to defend my title against Roddy McDonald in Kitchener, and I phoned him, "Hey, Junior." So we used to call him. He'd be like, "Yeah, Donny, how you doing?" I'm like, because I haven't seen him for a number of years,
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my God, it sounds like his dad,
Yeah. Yeah.
And he goes, "You really want me to come down there?" And I was like, "Yeah, can you come down and do some sparring? I need some boxing." Okay. Because I had no idea. He was number one in the world as an amateur, 220 pounds,
Yes.
So he gets in the gym and he walks right up to me like this close, looks down at me. "You sure you still want to spar?" And I said, "I have to. I've got like a fight in like 12-round championship fight. I need sparring, So we sparred, and boy, did he hit me hard once. Oh, yeah. Never forget.
Yeah, I don't think he could do anything but hit hard. I mean, Lennox just punch,
a monster.
What I seen, what he did to Galata to get him out of there, and anyone.
Oh my God!
Anyone he clips, he's getting rid of. That's for sure.
Yeah. He was a genius in there.
Yeah, he was. I think we lost Ben for a second, but
it looks like.
Sorry, guys. I was putting it's a bit unprofessional, it's moving about, but I was putting the charger into the phone because we're
a bunch of boxing people. We're not tech professionals.
No, sure, exactly. No, we were going to lose everybody if I didn't plug this into the charger. So, and I'm actually in a friend's apartment today, not in my own. So I didn't even know where to go, but we got it now.
Usually on the wall, close to the bottom.
Yeah. I mean, I knew there was plugs around, but in my own kind of space, I know I've got all sorts of things, and I can just plug straight in without anybody noticing. But in any case, Donny, you fought for a long time after the Leonard fight. After having, like you say, made enough money that could have sustained you for the rest of your life, and you told me some time ago when we first ever did an interview on social media that you pretty much fought for another 15 years because that's what's in you, and you were a fighter and you couldn't think of anything else to do, for your sense of identity,
Well, no, I just love doing it. I mean, I still today, I'm so sick that I'm like, I saw a picture of Ray Leonard the other day. It's his birthday and he's 67. I went, yeah, I guess he looks a little bit like we shouldn't be getting hit in the head anymore, because I'm still thinking like, can't we do an exhibition or something? And, just for fun, We were talking about it in Mexico about a year ago, and he was like, "Yeah, but don't you think it's kind of crazy? Like one guy hits the other, and all of a sudden you get upset, and then all of a sudden, like something happens, I said, this is about nostalgia for people. It's about entertainment, you got to take all of that out. This has nothing to do with hurting each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because people want to see those same two people. It's like surreal for them.
Yeah.
We're in our 60s and these guys are, boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a purist. I don't like, like pretending boxing. You can't play boxing.
Yeah.
But you can definitely, at our age, do what we're experienced enough, we're old enough, we're respectful enough of the sport, our health and each other, that we should be able to do this and have fun. I thought Tyson and Jones were a good example of it.
Yeah,
they didn't try to kill each other. It was still enjoyable, just because it was Tyson and Jones.
But isn't the intent of boxing
to do it, Donny? Guys like Jack Johnson used to go on the road many years into his dotage, still lacing them up and still giving exhibitions. Ray Robinson and Willie Pep did an exhibition when pretty much, I think it was around 1965, they jumped in the ring. And it's still
I honestly don't see the good point. I honestly don't see. I mean, besides the point of a fighter being able to make money off his name, I don't see unless there's the threat of somebody getting dropped. I don't see how it's entertaining.
No, I hear you. I didn't. The way I said it, as far as Donny used the example of Roy Jones and Mike Tyson. If I was in a gym and somebody said to me, Ben, come by at 10 a.m., Roy and Mike are going to spar, I'd be like, oh, wow, I'll come down for that, you know.
Yeah.
But
fighters,
once you make it a public event, it doesn't actually appeal to me, to be honest with you. No.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, do you spar still? Do you spar either one of you guys?
Hell no.
I do, Donny, but only with clients. You know,
but don't you think it would be so much fun? Don't you want to?
No, the last time I sparred was with Q-Tip from Tribe Called Quest. From Tribe Called Quest. And it must have been about it was about 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
And Tip is pretty good with his hands, and he's thick. Like, he's got, those guys with big backs. You have one too. Guys with big backs, they all punch hard. Wayne Caplet was like that. He had like a hunchback. And guys like that, just, I don't know, they hit hard. And so I'm moving around with Tip, and I'm thinking everything's all cool and everything. And he came out serious. He whipped the right hand. And for some, just instinctually, I went under it. And I felt this thing breeze over my head. And I was like, that's as hard a punch thrown at me as Hearns threw, Barkley threw, all you threw. That thing was real. That was designed to knock me out. And I'm like, so it's
wow.
It was only a matter of like, and he had really good hands, really beautiful combinations and everything. I'm like, the odds are I'm going to get hit with something like that after a while. I mean, it's just natural. It's
right.
And I'm supposed to hold back. So what's the sense in this? So from there on, I never sparred again. That was it. I was like, just no. Yeah, it didn't make sense to me.
A lot of downside, not much upside.
Yeah. But the time before that, I was sparring with this one kid, and he was small. And he was like maybe like about 147 pounds, and he threw a punch and hit me in my back. And I was cool. What didn't hurt? I mean, it was nothing. We messed around. I leave that evening. I'm urinating blood for like 3 days, and I was just like, "This is ridiculous."
Wow.
Surgery, the whole thing. It's nuts.
You know who says he'll spar with me? He said he will move around if he comes to England. John Scully. Iceman John Scully says that.
Yeah.
He spars all the time.
Yeah.
He knows I'll still jump in a ring and move about. So he said, we'll definitely do that, BD. If I'm in London, we're gonna do a few rounds. Because he still spars with pretty useful amateurs, young bucks who are kind of lively. And he'll do, Scully, from what I understand, will do 15 rounds in a gym with these kids. And he will handle them because of what he knows. Yeah. So I don't know whether I really want to spar Scully, but I can't back out, can I? So if he comes here, I'm up for it.
Yeah.
I would do everything you could to get ready.
Yeah.
Because he's a nightmare. He's a nightmare. I would love to still spar. I would just love to still spar. Yeah. I just know it doesn't make sense.
Exactly, right?
Last time I sparred with a kid, Ray Leonard said to me once, did it like, he goes like, you never seem to get bothered, even like you're 43 fighting Hill and to get hit or whatever. And I said, no, it never bothered me. He goes, what? I said, well, you never minded getting hit. I mean, you were unbelievable at what you could take. And he goes, no, but one day, just like, he goes, I was sparring with somebody and they hit me to the body and it was just like, whoa. He goes, I never felt anything like that. Yeah. And I just realized, I'm at an age where I don't need to be getting hit anymore.
Yeah.
And I said, no, that never happened to me. So a couple of years later, I'm in Malta training with this kid who I'm teaching how to punch.
Yeah.
And he hits me with a body shot. And it was just Ray's, all I could hear is what Ray said. All of a sudden, one day he hit me and, it hurt so much. My whole body hurt. It was like, I didn't know anything hurt that much, let alone your whole body, at one time.
Yeah.
And I went, wow, I guess I'm probably at that point,
I think on you what you've been doing all those years and stuff that you took for granted, there surely comes a point when you become a little bit mindful and conscious of it in a way that you're superhuman when you're younger, you guys, at the top of your game.
Yes.
And you're really not normal human beings. You're not normal people. And at some point you become a little bit more normal and you actually think, my God, is this what I've been doing to other people as well? And is this what I used to shake off without a second thought?
What happens is there's I don't know. It's almost like you go into some sort of like trance. You don't really feel it like a first person feel. Like your
Yeah,
adrenaline masks so much pain, but you only have so many. Like the adrenaline stores, it's kind of like that metaphorical well. And every time you go down into the well and you pull the water up, there's less water in the well. And it's the
absolutely.
same thing in terms of pain. So after a while, you don't feel pain, you don't feel pain. Then it all becomes normalized. And then you start to feel the pain of things and the discomfort and the fact that you're breathing hard and your lungs are tugging and all the rest of that kind of stuff. It's interesting how it works. I don't know if it's the same for you, Donny, but Donny, I did want to on a certain point. I want to talk to you about your fights on TV because I always enjoyed watching them. You were on CBS a lot, right? They it was Tim Ryan and Gil Clancy that called your fights, no? And
what fight did they do? Oh, they were at when I did. They did do fights of mine, but the first time those two guys saw me box was against Tommy Hearns in Winnipeg, a 4-round exhibition to raise money for Ralph Racine.
Yeah.
And Gil Clancy was quoted in the paper the next day saying, I've never seen anybody, it was the biggest compliment I ever had probably. Yeah. I've never seen anybody who with lateral movement or who could counterpunch like that, Lalonde guy, since Emil Griffith.
Wow.
It was just such a beautiful compliment.
That must have felt amazing.
Gil was one of the finer, sharper boxing minds of that era. I feel he was such a great analyst when he was commentating on fights, like you say, twinned up with Tim Ryan. He had insights which you don't seem to get so much today. That Gil
well, he hated me, so we're just going to keep it moving.
Well, he didn't like you. No, what Gil didn't. He said something uncomplimentary about you, did he?
Yeah, but we won't go there. It's just about Donny. This is Donny's time. So Donny.
But tell us. I want to hear it.
Yeah, he wants to know now.
No, but Donny, you actually, what was really interesting to me, I remember you fought Willie Vampire Johnson.
Yeah.
And
yes, Wilbur.
Wilbur Vampire Johnson, yes, and it was always so intriguing because I remember he came in. Was it your fight that he came in a coffin?
Yeah, right. He did that on ESPN. He did that a few times. He came out with the robe, with the whole vampire outfit on.
And then you knocked him out, and the whole thing just reversed. It was crazy.
No, Donny's first loss was to the
vampire. That's right. So our first fight, I broke my my right hand in the first round. I still thought I won the fight. I followed him back to his corner after the fight. Pete Susans threw water on him, said, "You effing bum, you could have won that fight." They didn't even think they won. But the Winnipeg judges gave it to them. Wow. See, the Winnipeg judges, getting back to the Mafia thing, the Winnipeg judges back then were all controlled by the Mafia, who ran boxing. They had the commission, they had the commission, they had the promoter, they had what's it called, the premier. They would provide these guys drugs and women, so they can get anything done.
Yeah. And so, did you rematch him?
So anyway, so they didn't want me climbing up in Winnipeg. And I was. So they brought this guy in, and the judges gave a bad decision. So we fought a rematch 6 months later because I destroyed my hand. I broke it in the first round, so I kept using it. So this knuckle's much shorter than it should be. Wow. But anyway, in the rematch, I knocked him out in, I think, the first round.
Yeah.
First round or second round, something like that.
Yeah.
But he could fight, actually. Wilbur could fight a little bit. He was a pretty good boxer, good amateur,
Yeah. No,
he fought John Mugabe in Venezuela. And then 15 years after that, he fought Guillermo Jones at cruiserweight, the Panamanian. So see, guys like that would have an interesting story because nobody ever talks to guys like that. Nobody ever interviews guys like that. But I don't know if he's still alive. If he is, guys like Wilbur Johnson would be very interesting subjects.
He would be a great interview. Unfortunately, he did just pass a few years ago. Wow. But he was a real character. He was a really funny character.
I think I gave him a victory now I think about it. I think I wrote a little tribute for him, so I should remember that he passed away, actually. But
Donny, is Marvin Johnson still with us?
Yeah. He was at the he's good. I was inducted into the Indiana Boxing Hall of Fame last year.
Congratulations.
So he was there, which was such an honor, Thank you. And so it was really nice to reconnect and see he's well, and he seems fine. Marvin he's a quiet guy. He's like a hard guy to read, but he always was, you know. So he's exactly like he was, you know.
Yeah.
But super nice guy, super. I mean, what a warrior! I mean, the freaking fights this guy had before I even ever met the guy, right? Let alone what he did after. Yeah.
Do you find that fighters like Marvin Johnson, they reflect their personalities? Like when you see their fight style in the ring, that is their style outside
as a person.
Yes. Yeah. That's cool, right?
Quite a bit, right? Yeah. But you know, okay, but look at like you know, kind of like, you know, there's things happen in life, so you have what's called an inauthentic self. Because when you're young, you have these experiences, and all of a sudden oh my God, I got to be careful. I can't walk that way anymore because I might get hit in the head. So I'm going to walk this way now, or whatever, you know. Fighters, you know, evolve, right, as what they're going through in their careers, right?
Yeah.
And I really think, like, if you look at, like you say, as a reflection, James Toney. I mean, he is a character. He is such a character. But he's like that in the ring. I mean, I don't know what he was like in a fight. I never fought him.
Yeah.
But I mean, he would make so many jokes. We had so much fun sparring.
Yeah.
You know, he was just a light guy.
Yeah.
And he's a quirky guy. He's got coming from everywhere, just like when he's fighting, you know. And you got a guy like Tommy Hearns, who's just like very stoic.
Yeah.
Very like, you know, black, white, AV. You know, he's like boom, 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 you know.
Yes.
Like you say, I mean, if you really look at it that way,
you
can really match the two a lot. Not with everybody, but with a lot of people, for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like the best way to fight. Like, as a fighter, if you're fighting your personality, if you're fighting with what your personality is, you're going to be more truthful to the situation than if you were fighting in a way a trainer wants you to fight. It's like you said, it's inauthentic to fight different than what your personality is. And your trainer should teach you something that would match your personality and not necessarily something that's going to fight against it.
Do we see that
exactly
sometimes?
My opinion.
You get trainers who try to make you something you're not. Did you ever experience that kind of battle in the gym, Donny?
Teddy Atlas wanted me to be, you know, he trained everybody like they were Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
I'm like, Teddy, you don't have to browbeat me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've not been to prison. Don't talk to me like I'm a prisoner. You know, I've not been to this. I've not done this or that. I'm come from a different place.
Yeah.
Communicate to me like a human being.
Yes.
You know, exactly. I mean, I think you should to everybody, but I don't know if this works for you and them or whatever. I'm not speaking to you with them. Yeah. You know, but so Teddy was like that. Whereas Tommy, like, you know, Teddy was all about, he was going to be the hero. So he was going to like really make my left hand this, you know. I always wanted to continue working my left hand, but Teddy would ignore other things because his goal was X.
Yeah.
You know, Tommy Gallagher just said, Donny, take that left hand, stick it up your ass. You knock out everywhere with the right hand. Who gives a fuck about your left hand? You know, type thing, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was in the middle on that a little bit. No, because I have pride and I also know the power of my left hand when it's effective. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to give up on it. I did want to work on it. Bobby Cassidy came in because he was Tommy's partner. So they both trained me. And Bobby gave me a lot of education. You know, Tommy was more of a, you know, cheerleader and pump you up, build you up, keep you going, motivator, this kind of a thing. And Bobby was more of an educator.
Yeah.
But, you know, those guys took the best I had and made the best of it. Yes. It was about Teddy. It was about, I'm going to mold you to be this because you need to be what I want or think.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you feel he's one of those trainers who puts his own ego into the whole thing very much?
Do I feel that? I lived it. Yeah. I mean, I know it. Yeah. It wasn't about the fighter. When's the last time I saw Teddy? No, it's been a long time. I saw him in Vegas. Yeah. You know, this is, I mean, like he was with Moore. Mm-hmm. And I was just so happy for him because put everything else aside, I hadn't heard of all this stuff or anything that he said about the book and all that. I knew we had problems, but I mean, I don't hold on to things. And, you know, so I just saw him and I was like, oh my God, Teddy, I'm so happy for him. He's like, he's got the world champion, Michael Moore, which blew me away. I was happy for Michael, a light heavyweight, I thought, you know.
Yeah.
And so I just went up to him, hey, Teddy, how you doing? And, you know, I went to like give him a hug and shake his hand and say, congratulations on your career and blah, blah, blah. And he went to shake my hand before he knew who it was, you know. And then he realized and he like pushed me with one hand, pulled back with the other hand. You motherfucker, and just went off like he was on the street talking to like an animal or something. You know, it's like, wow, like we were in Caesar's palace, full of people.
Okay.
It's like, Teddy, are you freaking nuts? Like, literally, are you nuts? I mean, 20 years ago or whatever it was, you know. I mean, geez.
If you could forgive and forget, he certainly ought to, because basically what he admitted to, if you were going to get the hump about something and have a resentment, that would be the stuff, I would think, you know.
I mean, there's no logic even to the conversation. Teddy is Teddy. There's no other Teddy, and he makes does his own little framework of what it is to survive in this world, and to do that, he has to be, you know, he has to be what he right now has framed as Teddy Atlas, and I did that as me, and it is what it is. So what can I say about him? I mean, I guess he does what he feels he needs to do to be a big tough guy in the world. And which is what he feels he needs to be to survive. He comes from Queens. I'm come from Vancouver, you know. Vancouver, I mean, I was just a kid walking down the street with an ice cream cone, you know. These guys trying to survive in Queens. It's a different world. You know?
But okay, so now let's talk about current day Vancouver, which is kind of like the meth capital of the world or something. It's almost like inverted.
It's true. It was a really bad part of it. It was a really bad part back then.
Yeah.
Now really, still probably,
Yeah, now even as much, if not more so, they have like, it's crazy. It's like a zombie apocalypse. Like I remember when I went back a few years ago, and there was streams of people who had these addictions to opioids and everything, but they would walk in groups like streams. And it would be like crossing the street with trolleys and whatever they had belongings they had in them, and it was really sad. In fact, I had taken my two sons with me, and that's one image of Vancouver that stuck through their mind. They were maybe like, I don't know, they must have been about 12 and 10 at the time, and it stuck through their minds to this very day. That's the image they get, like this, like
zombie.
Cavalcade of zombies just walking across the street and stopping traffic, and it's like 2-3 blocks long. It was crazy.
Yeah, the part of town is pretty rough, but still, Michael, like rough for us, like, you know, it was like a knife fight.
Yeah,
you know, when these guys grow up, it's very different. Where you know, it's a different world. It really is. And you know, Vancouver in particular, that area did have violence. Like I say, even back then, you know. But again, they were
Orange.
Yeah, I mean, I go back. I mean, not the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I used to go back a lot. My kids went to school. I had my kids go to boarding school there, so we would go back quite a bit for a few years, and you know. But I'm not going to Canada. I'm not, like, you know, what they're doing right now to people there, like what happened with the truckers and all that kind of stuff. That kind of world, I'm just not going to be that guy, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm ashamed and I'm really sad for my country.
Yeah.
It does seem, Donny, that in many ways you've tried to create a life outside of the mainstream for yourself. You don't. I know that you disapprove of quite a lot of what's going on a governmental level and in terms of social media and platforms you can trust. And it does seem like you're walking something of a maverick path where you've tried to create your own independence from capitalism and the totalitarian kind of substructure of things.
Very safe to say. Yes.
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a mission of mine since, you know, like Stanley Park in Vancouver in 1969, you know, with the Vietnam stuff going on, you know, and I'm like back then, right from those days, like since I've been a young kid, these international things, you know, Kent State, you know, just the things that you saw the government do. How can you have any trust in that? And then we had many experiences with a lot of violence in our home, and the way the police dealt with it or the court systems dealt with it. You realize the system is not built for our best interest and all about taking care of the people, right? So, and right now, a lot is being exposed in this world. A lot of the things that I've been kind of proponent of trying to speak of to wake people up to for many years are really becoming prevalent and known, which I'm very happy for. Not because they're there, but because people need to know they're there if we're going to stop them before literally there's a genocide going on, guys. I mean, you know, I know there's a boxing show and all that stuff, but these guys are trying to eliminate population. If people don't get that by now, we're done. You know, we got to figure this out and stop it. You know, we're fighters. What are we gonna do? Lie down and just say, here, kill me? Like, do whatever you want. This whole thing, you know, where they're gonna track everything you do. And I mean, in New York right now, they're gonna start measuring, like counting people's meat consumption, tracking people's meat consumption. Really? They're starting in New York now, yeah. Well, they're starting to put mRNA vaccines in cattle and I believe chicken in America starting this month.
Wow. Well, I guess I'm going to.
This is sick stuff. You know,
going to have to become a vegetarian unwillingly.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. There's been stuff like this going on forever, and you know, like I've always done, like you say, Ben, to like, you know, try to live my life outside of that, and not because I'm like anti anything. I just believe in we're, you know, free individual, sovereign human beings, and we don't deserve the tyranny. You know.
Let me ask you on that point: the fact that the population is so, I mean, it's massive. What it is, it's just growing and continues to grow. Do you think that kind of, that we have to be monitored, that we have to be, like, for human beings and so many diverse human beings to live so close together, that automatically causes a certain type of conflict, right? Because generally we like that which is most like ourselves, and anything that's different we call, you know, it's taboo.
Well, then why are we opening our borders and making everywhere, you know, multi-cultural or whatever you call it, right?
Yeah.
I love Italy, but what I love about Italy is the Italian part of Italy.
Yes.
The part that's really Italian. You know, I love Britain. You want to go there to have a pint and a dog or whatever, you know. Fish and chips. I'm not going there for, you know, seafood from Costa Rica.
Yeah.
I'm going there, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, the things that's being done to our culture is sick, insidious, satanic, and I don't want to be a part of it. So you're right. Yeah, I've done everything I can to be outside of it.
Yeah.
We're kind of penetrating the Joe Rogan territory here, Michael. I don't know how you feel about that direction, but it feels like that's where we're becoming more like that kind of show in the last segment here. But I'm cool with it.
Yes, it's you know, it's all about the fight. Like we fight in the ring, we fight outside it.
It's part of who Donny is. I know that Donny sometimes has been called a conspiracy theorist. Funnily enough, the historian Steve Compton, who went off at you, Michael, and was saying, Michael Lalonde, stay in your lane. What the heck do you know about Harry Greb or anything while we're on it? And you have been very polite, but being like, well, sir, I kind of fought Elite Level, I fought Tommy Hearns and stuff. You weren't even saying that, but he should have been more deferential to that. I remember him saying to Donny, he was deleting Donny because he said, I can't listen to this nonsense anymore. You were a good fighter, but this is just beyond the pale. So, and I know Donny's, you know, a secure guy who's not sensitive, but I suppose you're used to people trying to dismiss some of that stuff that you're passionate about, Donny, and they'll put that label on you. Is that something you deal with?
They think I'm nuts. People have thought I'm nuts from like my whole life. I mean, saying I want to be a boxer with a separated shoulder, you know, and no real physicality to back that up, you know. Everything I've done, people have thought that. But the bottom line is, like, you know, like in 1980, there was a big story done by the Winnipeg Free Press sports section. It was like a full page conversation I had with them about, because they contacted me and said, we heard the AMA wants to ban boxing. What do you think of that? I said, well, we need to ban the AMA. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, these guys tell you that drinking cow's milk is good for a human being. You know, no other mammal in the world, no other animal in the world drinks the milk of another animal. And I just got into the science of milk. And I said, you can say all you want if you're a milk salesman, but I'm just telling you the facts are the AMA is not protecting people, and that's their job. So we need to get rid of them. So I have spoken against counterculture since I was 20 years old, you know, since anybody would listen. Yeah.
Okay.
So they're happy to wipe me out. You know,
so that means my saying twice as sweet as chocolate milk, I've got to take that down?
No, because it's true. Sweet is sweet, right?
I've got another
chocolate
issue
is
with
chocolate.
That.
Sugar is sugar.
Issue with that. How
Depends
come?
on the substance behind that sweetness. And I know you've got that and the silk.
You've got your name again on the caption. It says Silk, twice as sweet as chocolate milk. I've got Ben Dowd in the pool. Donny has only got just literally Donny in there, like he's just some truck driver from Arkansas. Why doesn't it say Donny Lalonde?
It looked like one.
I mean, Simon was ill this week, so I'm going to give him a pass. But that's a little bit disrespectful the way it just says Donny in these red letters right next to him there. I'm not at all.
It could also be a compliment. It could also be a compliment.
I think so. I think it is absolutely. So, Donny,
maybe that's what it is, Donny. You need no introduction. You need no extra billing. You need no kind of peripheral fluff. Donny.
He doesn't need the egotistical massage like I do. But Donny, let me ask you: if you would have played hockey, and you were very close to doing that, I mean, I don't know.
I did play hockey. Okay,
so competitive hockey you played, right? Would you have been an enforcer?
Yes.
What team would you have played for, and who would you have loved to have knocked out?
I would have wanted to play for Montreal Canadiens.
The Canadiens, the
Guy Lafleur. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I would have wanted to be his centerman. You know.
There you go.
Yeah, because I played center or wing. I could go either one.
Oh,
and I got to know him in New York. But
crazy.
Yeah, no, I was a goal scorer. I was like kind of like in boxing. Fundamentals were terrible.
Yeah,
you know, like I couldn't skate fast. I would get picked out of the All-Star teams because I was the leading scorer in the league.
Yeah.
And then we would have the warm-ups, you know.
Yeah.
Or the tryouts, whatever they do when you start getting ready for the All-Star thing.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't believe I was on this team because everybody skated way faster than me. I couldn't shoot the puck from the blue line to the goalie in the air, you know.
Yeah.
But I understood the game. I had a really good IQ for scoring.
Yeah.
So I could just get in the right position at the right time and put it in the net, you know, or give it to somebody at the right time and they'd put it in the net.
Yeah.
I played in New York. One time we went to Jersey to play. Oh my God, where were we? And it was, you know, it was a pretty big deal. And we won 21-7.
What? In a
and
hockey
myself and my friend who were on the same team as kids.
Yeah.
Played together in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I got 15 goals and 6 assists. He got 15 assists and 6 goals. We just freaking dominated that game. It was just awesome. Same arena I saw. Oh my God, who's that guy? Fight Michael Spinks. I'm gonna forget. Anyway, it was really cool because I'd been there to see a world title fight. David Sears fought Michael Spinks, and it was in Jersey. Yeah, same arena. I played hockey, and I'd seen Sears fight Spinks. Or no, Ches. Sears and Ches is what it was. Bobby Ches.
Yeah.
Ches knocked out Sears in 2 rounds.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Something like that. Yeah.
So
anyway,
what team would you have loved to fight against, play against? What team was?
Well, of course. Boston was the fighters.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
So you want to fight Boston or Chicago? Keith Magnuson.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I was always a Philadelphia Flyers fan. I love.
Okay. I mean, you know, Dave Schultz.
Yeah, right? Dave the Hammer Schultz.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever hear that story once? I don't know anything about the ice hockey, but I read a story in KO magazine in the 80s that one of the teams had drafted Emmanuel Stewart on. They'd enlisted his help to teach the guys some hand skills for when they kicked off and got into the fights on the rink. And that Stewart was actually.
I remember that story, that conversation.
You remember the story?
I remember
he was talking about how one of them had improved and was definitely using his jab more and setting up his right hand when it kicked off with the kind of rink violence, whatever they call it. That actually happened, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. But this is back in Winnipeg, like 1981, 82. I was there, and the Winnipeg Jets had me train some of their guys. Dave Babbage, I remember, is one. Dave Scholer's another one. Mm-hmm. And it was so much fun because these kids are so strong. They're such incredible athletes, hockey players, you know.
Yeah, aren't they?
They hit so hard, you know.
Yeah.
And they're so natural because they're such incredible athletes, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
But it takes a real certain person to get punched in the face and it be okay. That you stay focused and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so I've met so many people from so many sports or walks of life or tough this, tough that, you know, rodeo people, whatever. Tough people. Mm-hmm. But they don't want to get punched in the face, right? They can't take a shot, you know?
A different beast. Did you ever spar with Murky Sosa? You never
Oh
fought.
my God, are you kidding? We sparred. We almost killed each other, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So years later, we're in Vegas. I swear
Yeah.
this is a true story. I'm at the top ranked gym,
Yeah.
33 years old, and everybody's telling me, "What are you doing fighting? You're nuts. You're going to get hurt. This is what happens to people. They fight too long, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, having fun. But anyway, Panama Lewis comes up to me. I'm in top ranked gym. He goes, "Hey, Donny, give my guy a few rounds tomorrow." And I'm like, "Sure, I'll give you guys." Like, it's too stupid. Boxers don't ever say no. So I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I'll give you whatever, blah, blah, blah." And then a little while after, I said, "By the way, who's your guy?" You know? Oh, no, I didn't say that. A trainer came up to me in there. I think it was Jerome Coffey, somebody. And they were like, "Do you know who his guy is?" And I'm like, "No." And they went, "Murky Sosa." I went, "Oh my God." You know, if I'm going to get hurt in boxing, it's Murky Sosa who's going to hurt me. You know, this guy punched from such weird angles, Ben.
Yeah.
And hit so hard.
Yes.
He was just the weirdest guy to box.
They called
Did you
him
box him?
I did. We used to spar a lot in New York at Gleason's, and they called him El Carombo because his knees where he was knocking.
Right. Yeah.
He had that weird stance, strong as hell.
And you couldn't help but getting distracted by the knees. Right? It's like a musician showing you this over here, but giving you one of these. You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So anyway, that night I go back to my apartment and I'm thinking all night. I couldn't even sleep. I'm like, this is how fighters get hurt. You're too stubborn to say no. I'm 34 years old. I don't need to be doing this. He's like, just be proud enough or whatever. Get it amongst yourself to just say you don't want to do this.
Yeah.
You know? My wife was there. She was trying to talk me into that.
Yeah.
So I get to the gym and I'm sitting outside waiting because I was like the first one there. And Murky walks up and he goes, "Oh, hey, champ." Oh, no, it was packed. I'm sorry. It was packed. That's why I couldn't go in. There was two reasons. Because I was the first one there. It was packed. It was packed. And I'm thinking, I'm not even going in there. Like, what the hell's going on? A freaking fight card? You know, like it was nuts. The whole parking lot. Remember how big it is? The whole parking lot in Top Rank in Vegas. It's huge. And so I'm sitting there waiting outside and just for a minute, kind of get my head together. And Murky walks up. Yeah. And I'm like, "Hey, champ, how you doing?" You know, and he's like, "Oh, good, champ." And he goes, "Can we sit down for a minute?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And sat down. And he goes, "Do you want to do this?" And I went, "Oh my God, why are you asking me that?" And he goes, "I've been up all night. I've been thinking," because don't you remember when we used to spar, we killed each other.
Yeah.
I said, I know. He goes, "Do you know how many people are here?" He goes, "You know why they're here? They know we're sparring." Panama Lewis told them we're sparring. Like our sparring was legendary. These people are here to watch us kill each other. Yeah. Do you want to do this? Yeah. And I said, "Well, I mean, I don't want to say no because I know you came here to box. Yeah. And I would not want to let you down. But I mean, I got to be honest. I've been thinking about it all night too. You know." And he was like, "Let's just go in there and tell them, fuck you guys. We're not doing this because we're not entertainment for you. We're not sacrificing ourselves for you." And so we went in. But that's how bad our sparring was. We hurt each other. Yeah. He was a tough guy. He was tough.
You guys must say, I could only see that thing going toe to toe. And both of you, I mean, he was an incredible puncher. I remember hitting him in sparring. Yeah. And I remember and it was like hitting, a sandbag. It was like just
a wall.
Like, I was like, wow, okay. And he used to spar with Ronaldo Snipes as well. And he was a super middleweight.
Wow.
And he actually, Snipes, you know how Snipes would fight. You like pop, 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 and he'd talk and he'd be doing all this. Yeah. Before that wild overhead right. And he landed on Murky's back at one point. Murky was a super middleweight at the point. Yeah. And he picked Ronaldo Snipes up, picked him up, walked him to the center of the ring and put him down and started sparring with him. I was like, yo, this guy is a beast. This is before he really, you know what I mean? Yeah. And of course, y'all know Sugar Ray sent him home because he was like, no, we can't do this very long.
Yeah. No, he's a monster, that guy. Yeah. We still talk once in a while. I love that guy. He's a real true fighter.
Isn't he beautiful? Yeah, he's a really good spirit. He's such a good guy. Next time I'm in Vegas, I'm definitely going to check him out, see him.
Yeah, do that. He would appreciate it.
I can't believe how quick time has flown, and Ben, we're just like, this is epic with Donny.
Yeah, this is the longest show. This is the longest show that we've done of Sugar and Silk. I think we're closing in on 90 minutes. I'm glad you're showing awareness of that because I could talk all night, but we probably shouldn't. We always leave them wanting more, the old axiom. But
save some more. Save some for another time. Malik, we haven't even talked about Malik.
Oh, that's your fighter.
Your fighter, yeah.
You guys, yeah. I mean, he's number 15 by WBA or WBC, number 16 by the other one.
What weight?
He's got all 175.
Nice.
Punches like a heavyweight.
Great division.
Smart.
Yeah.
Great legs. Yeah, like he's, in my opinion, obviously I'm what's it called? Biased.
Objective. Yeah.
But right, it's hard to be objective like this. But since I saw the kid, I told my wife we can't leave. We're only supposed to be in Malta for a week. I said we can't leave. We got to move here because this kid. I got to manage this kid. He's never seen a talent like this.
Yes.
And so that's how how attached I was then. That was 8 years ago. I feel the same way now. If there's anybody, and I'm not saying he does it, but I think he does. If there's anybody who beats a Bivol or a Beterbiev, it's this kid.
Wow.
What's his name, Donny?
Sorry? What's
his full name? Malik
Zinad. Zinad.
Okay.
Yeah. It's actually a little bit longer than that, but he's Libyan, so it's like abbreviated term, right? No name. But this kid is so talented and such a great kid to watch box because he's got a great boxing IQ. He's got great legs. He moves around well. He's very entertaining. He's beautiful. He's got a beautiful smile. He's he'll communicate with the crowd and the opponent and just have fun in there, while he's doing it, kind of thing.
Of course.
Mean as can be. I mean, you guys would love him. I got to send you some tapes of him, but you got to get him on sometime.
We absolutely will anytime, and we look out for his progress with a keen eye. Sure, I know. And if you need anything breaking down in England, if you're trying to make any links in England, if I can help in any way to try and get things moving more than already moving, then
thank you.
Let me know.
And you said he's 15-0. We could find anything on him on YouTube.
No, he's 21-0.
21.
I think 16 knockouts. I think.
Nice.
Yeah. Know what I was saying about? I can't remember what the reference was. But anyway, he's 21-0. 16 knockouts.
And
I managed. Yeah, there's stuff on YouTube on him for sure. Okay. I'll send you a couple links.
Yeah, please do.
To start it off. Yeah, because we got to get him on the show, and
yes.
Absolutely. On this occasion, Donny, it's been a massive pleasure to catch up again. So we
likewise, we'll do it again.
And we will say goodbye off the air as well. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed this fascinating glimpse into just the psyche of exceptional prize fighters. Really, with just me on the edge, interjecting here and there. We'll be back with another fantastic guest, or else it'll just be me and Silk. Either way, we ain't going to stop. Remember,
I sincerely and genuinely enjoy your show.
Thank you so much, Donny. And listen, we got to bring you back too. Whenever a big fight happens or something, we got to break it down together. Yeah, we got the job.
Sure, yeah, because
anytime, I'd be fun.
He doesn't talk about himself; he can talk about boxing intelligently, like you can yourself. So, thanks, guys. Thanks for bearing with us. Those of you who stayed to the end, we'll be back next week. Cheers.
Ciao.